Forecasting your likely results. In the column to the right, explain what factors you think are most likely to affect your financial and career goals, results, and why you feel so. Okay, and I've got 7 factors, including family, location, city, region, or country, industry or field of work, educational level and specialization, your gender, your ethnicity, or other. Okay, so you're trying to figure out, like, how are you going to do in the next 30 to 40 years, and what might have an impact on your results. Well, the first factor I think is family. You know, if you're born into a rich family, like the Kennedys, the Rockefellers, you know, the Gates, whatever, your chances of being poor are slim to none. So you're basically they call it being born with a golden spoon in your mouth. Okay. If you're born to middle class family, mid-level family, then your life is going to be kind of hard, because there probably are not enough resources to propel you very far. Okay, there's some resources to sustain you. There's some resources to help you along the way, but they're not vast. They're basic resources. Okay? If you're born to a poor family, then there aren't enough resources for anybody. So anything that you can do is going to probably be dependent on you, which means that your life is going to be very difficult. Okay? So your results are going to be affected by it. Then we talked previously. We talked about location, city, region, or country. And again, if you're born in a rich country, then there are probably a lot of supports for you there, right? Subsidized housing, subsidized food, subsidized transportation, subsidized education, subsidized healthcare. So it'll be easier for you to do well than if you're born in a mid-level country. In mid-level country, there'll be some resources, but they will not be extensive necessarily. And if you're born in a poor country, well, there are probably not enough resources to go around. Right? So that will have an impact on your results. Then industry or field of work depends, right? I have friends who are surgeons, and they make about $1 million a year. Okay, that was a good choice. The average doctor in California is making $20,000 a month. Right, that's a good choice. Average nurse in California is making about, registered nurse in California is making about $100,000 a year. That's quite good. So it depends on your field of work. Now, if you choose something like, let's say, anthropology or archaeology, well, there's probably not a lot of money in those fields, right? Probably not. So choose carefully. Choose carefully. MBA, the average MBA in California makes about $70,000 a year. So that's a pretty good field. Let's take $70,000 and multiply it by the average work life, which is 40 years. So the average MBA in California should make about almost $3 million in the next 4 years. But let's multiply it by 0.75 to account for taxes. So the average MBA in California should take home about $2 million in the next 4 years. Divided by 4 years, about $1,000 a week. Well, divided by 12 months. About $4,000 a month, which is about $1,000 a week. Okay, so that's where it goes. It's much better than minimum wage, double minimum wage. Educational level and specialization, we just covered that. And then gender. This is kind of a hot potato, but historically men have done better than women. Okay, but as you know, that is changing. That's changing now. Women are doing well in just about every field that you can speak of. If I'm not mistaken, well, not for sure. Last week, was it last week or this weekend? Kamala Harris became president of the United States while President Joe Biden was in the middle of a medical operation or procedure, medical procedure. Okay, so at least for the day, at least for 1 or 2 days, Kamala Harris was the acting president of the United States. And women are doing much better than ever, I think, in just about every field. Okay, so that's changed. But historically, men have done better than women, okay, in terms of their financial and career goals. Ethnicity, that's a hot potato, okay? Some groups have done better than others for whatever reason, okay? And if you're a member of one of these groups that have done exceptionally well, you're probably going to do better than average, okay? Because people tend to help each other, with some exceptions. I think Hispanics generally don't help each other. And some of my Persian students have told me that Persians don't help each other. I don't know if that's true or not true. Okay? But in terms of Hispanics, I would say that there's a good deal of truth to that. Not always the case, but oftentimes I think Hispanics are not inclined to help each other, with some exceptions. Okay? But some groups do help each other. You know, Japanese help each other, Koreans help each other, Chinese help each other, Jews help each other. So if you're born into one of these more successful groups, then, and they help you, then your results are likely to be better. Okay, so what are the groups that have done better historically? Well, let's start with the Jews, right? The Jews are very successful people. They're very talented and they're very successful. Despite some fools like Adolf Hitler, who destroyed Germany through his decisions. But the Jews are very capable, competent, successful people. If you go to Manhattan, for example, you'll see a lot of Jewish people. You go to Bel Air, Brentwood, Westwood, right? The richest parts of Southern California, a lot of Jewish people. You go to Mexico City, which is maybe the largest city in the world. You go to the richest neighborhoods, you'll see a lot of Jewish people. Okay? So if you're born into that group, you probably have a better chance of doing well than if you're not. Okay. What are some of the other successful groups? Well, the Germans. In the United States, we have about 60 million Germans, and the United States has done very well. Right? The Germans are the largest group in the United States, including Donald Trump, despite his limitations and his some of the issues that Donald Trump has. The English, right? The French, the Italians, the Spanish in Spain, in Europe, the Japanese, the South Koreans, Taiwanese. So if you're a member of one of those groups, chances are you're probably going to do better than average. And if you're not a member of one of those groups, then it's probably going to be more difficult for you to do better than average. Okay, depending on you and depending on your family, depending on many variables. But you probably have a hard time doing well than if you were a member of one of these groups. Probably, in my opinion. Okay, but it's up to you. It depends how you see it. Okay, let's continue.